What a weekend in sports. We got the LA Dodgers winning the World Series. We got the LA Lakers looking good right now. Ja Morant gets suspended. You got the Falcons losing again. You got the Buffalo Bills beating the Kansas City Chiefs. So, hey, it's time. Let's go off the clock.
Love for my enemies like X's and O's. Inside these niggas and smokers and O. We come with a different approach. Got blood on my clothes, so all of my goals in line. All of my hoes in line. I find what I'm supposed to find. Gotta learn to close your mouth or leave with an open mind. Oh my God, you from a city they pretend to lie. Being fake in the street, you attend to lie. See so many niggas that be in the truth. Not enough niggas that be in the block. My niggas are tentative. That means he on.
Yo, what's up? This is the first episode of Off the Clock, the podcast, and I'm your host, Sean Arias, and we talk sports here. So let's start it out with the champions, the LA Dodgers. They won the World Series this past weekend. Great series, 7-game series, and it was a series that I thought at first the Toronto Blue Jays was going to take it. I think even Magic Johnson himself said the team that wins Game 5 will have control of the series, and Toronto won Game 5. But Game 6, LA got it. Game 7, definitely a great game. You got it going over the 9 innings. I believe it was 11 innings total. You had LA getting that fifth point. It was 4-4 for the longest. They get that fifth point, push them over to the top, and give them that back-to-back championship. Now, is it safe to say that they are a dynasty that's not going anywhere? Like I said, they won back-to-back. They won, three out of 5 years? And they also had another appearance as well. They haven't missed the playoffs since 2013. You know, I definitely think they are a team that is like the modern-day Yankees. They're the Yankees of today. They're setting the standards of what baseball teams are, how they're supposed to be ran, you know. And with the ownership, like I said, that's the same ownership that now owns majority of the Lakers. I hope that winning luck goes to them too as well. But you know, they definitely have shown that they go all in for their team, getting the players, the big-name players. And I definitely think that this is a dynasty that's not going anywhere. Because with the Dodgers, they don't rebuild. They reload up, it seems like. And they have made very strategic moves to continue being relevant, you know. And I think that's definitely things you have to do when you have a dynasty like that. In order to be a dynasty, you got to be relevant. You got to make decisions like that. And, of course, you got to win. And that's everything that the LA Dodgers are doing. So hats off to them, the World Series champions. You know, it's definitely good to see them winning again like that. So, but let's switch back over. Let's stay in LA, but let's go over to the NBA. So with the NBA, I am a Laker fan, as well. And I love to see how my Lakers are looking right now. They're 5-2, and that's even without Luka in some games and without LeBron. You know, LeBron should be coming back this month. I think that will, amp up what we've already been doing. But it's good to see Luka in shape. It's good to see Luka Doncic be himself, have more control of the offense now, have more freedom, have more confidence in himself. I definitely think this is going to be a great year for Luka. I said it before that this year will be the year of Victor Wembanyama, but also Luka Doncic because he is on his revenge tour. You got Luka dropping a triple-double last night, 29 points, I think 10 rebounds, 10 11 assists, something like that. It looked good. He's looking good. Austin Reeves showing out 25-plus points too as well. It's definitely needed, as far as being a Laker fan. You definitely want to see stuff like that and see people step up, and I don't see nobody else who can just dominate the league right now. I'm not saying the Lakers are dominating at the moment, but they're definitely holding their own. You definitely got to be a great team to take out OKC because OKC is definitely a deep team as well. But I think the Lakers can do it. When we get LeBron back, I hope they can still keep that chemistry that they have, and LeBron just adds to it. I know that sometimes having LeBron on your team, you got to switch some stuff up. It changes the way you play. But I think at this point of LeBron's career, he is going to be the one to adapt instead of the team adapt to him. So having LeBron back would definitely be a plus. Somebody of that, IQ and talent would only be great for them. So I love the Lakers being 5-2 right now. Another subject I want to touch base on, still in the NBA, is Ja Morant gets suspended. He had some issues the other game, and I think it was after the Laker game, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, to where he was saying stuff about the coaching staff and stuff like that, going on about it. He ended up getting fined and suspended and stuff. My question is this. Are we seeing the downfall continue with Ja Morant? I know he said he don't care to be the face of the league, and I think that's sad because you just want to do away with responsibility. But I think he had the talent, he had the likability from a league standpoint to be the face of the league, to be that top talent in the league. And ever since that, the whole gun thing, it's just been a down spiral for him, unfortunately. You know what I mean? I think he's a great player. I definitely want to see him get his head together, but he has to stop. Somebody has to be in his corner saying, hey, dude, we got to stop this. This can't keep going on right here, man. But Jai, like I said, he has the potential to really, be something special. He's still young, but I think it's looking like it's going to have to be in another city because he may need that fresh start, because in Memphis, that's where all his troubles has been as far as a couple years ago. And, it seemed like he hasn't really learned his lesson. He's not gelling with the new coaching staff and stuff like that. And it's not a good look. So maybe a fresh start for Ja Morant will be best. Me personally, that's what I think. So, but let's move on as well. Let's go to, the soccer field and in the soccer world. MLS, it was a good game this weekend, especially if you're a Nashville fan. As far as Nashville versus Inter Miami, it was a game that I felt Inter Miami didn't give their full effort. I think Inter Miami should have been more assertive, that they should have been, being able to capitalize better on situations and more chances to get goals and stuff like that. They literally didn't have any pressure on the goalie until like maybe the last 15 minutes maybe of the game. It definitely some things that Inter Miami has to get better as far as being consistent. They got to get consistent in their play. They just beat this same team, was it 4-1, something like that, and also 5-2 in the last game of the season. You got to be consistent. You don't have Lionel Messi and all the other talent there and not be consistent. It was hard to see things like Sergio Busquets. You can see his age coming to play even more in that game, to where when going back on defense, the guy on the other team just blows right by him. Leaves him in the dust and everything like that, and it sucks to see. You know what I mean? But because he is a great player and everything, but hey, age always wins. I think that Inter Miami will definitely take the game 3. I wish they would have won that game 2 right there, to where they wouldn't have to go to that game 3. But hey, hopefully they learn off this right here and use that in the next round if they can capitalize on this Friday or Saturday's game in Miami and use it. So Inter Miami definitely has a lot to work on in general as a team, but I think they can do it for sure. I still have hope of them winning the whole MLS Cup. So. And there was also some other good games. We also saw LAFC get back to a dominating fashion. They was a little hesitant and not so cohesive in their first game against Austin FC. But the second game in Austin FC, you saw Denny Bouanga come out more, him score. You saw Sung Min score and stuff like that. You saw that same dominance that we saw at the end of the season when that duo was just throwing points down like it was nothing. So good game for them too as well. Like I said, I'm definitely loving just the hype around the MLS playoffs that's growing. Now that you have people like Sung Min and of course Messi and the crew and other teams and stuff like that, that's been looking good. Philadelphia and everything. The Cincinnati and Columbus Crew is always a good matchup to watch. You know what I mean? But now let's switch it back over to football, the gridiron. So in college football, there was a lot of good games playing. Georgia beat Florida, but also some standout moments I would say is Texas. Texas was a team that was a top-ranked team in the beginning of the year, but fell all the way out of the top 25. Bad quarterback play, just all play in general was just bad. Losing games and everything, but they have been slowly getting momentum back up. You've seen Arch Manning, play to a better potential. Everyone thought he was going to be killing it this year. Not so much. But he's definitely has gotten a better play the past few weeks and everything, to where I think his draft status, if he went out this year, would definitely be better than it was in the beginning. I'm not saying first round draft pick, but I definitely say top 3 rounds for sure for Arch Manning at this particular moment. But he definitely, has a lot more to work on as well. And for me, a heartbreak this weekend is my Miami Hurricanes. The continuation of stupidity that just continues to happen for us is outlandish. You know what I mean? Our quarterback has, I think, 9 interceptions in 8 games. And it's just, I wasn't big on Carson Beck coming to Miami in the first place, but seeing him come to Miami, I was like, okay, hey, I'm an optimistic person. Let me just be optimistic about this situation. He's a quarterback. He is talented, but I want to see him make better passes. I want to see him make better decision making, throw the ball where the receiver can get it and away from the defender, and just be more of a leader on the offense. I want to see him gather the team more, saying, hey, guys, let's get it, let's go. And I haven't seen that the past 2 losses that we've had. And it's very upsetting as a Miami Hurricane fan. This is the reason why I don't get super excited in the beginning of the season when we're 5-0 and we're looking good and we're back and everything like that, and then stuff like this happen. I'm like, you don't get beat by SMU. They are a good team. They're a team that can surprise you, as we can see. They've done it before in the past against other teams and stuff like that. But as a Miami team, you're top 10. Now you're top 18. This is sad. It definitely is sad, and they definitely have to do something. We didn't look the best the past 2 weeks. Louisville surprised the mess out of us, and now this team just surprised us as well. It's just terrible. I would have took that Louisville loss, but hey, they played good. I give it to them. Our quarterback threw 4 interceptions or whatever like that. I think he threw 2 this game right here. It's something that, again, I hate about, Carson Beck's game. You know what I mean? His game, like I said, is too many interceptions, too many bad decision making, not enough, poise to sit back and literally make good decisions. So I hate that, but hey, we got the loss. Hopefully our playoff window isn't closed. That's the thing. Hopefully our playoff window, we can open back up. If we win out for the rest of the year, like I said, I am an optimistic person, and I got to have a playoff year. This is killing me right now. It's killing me right now because, Miami Hurricanes is my team, and they need to do better, And let's go over to the NFL, speaking of football, and also my other team, looking crazy as ever, is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons had a decent game yesterday as far as facing the New England Patriots, who's having a great season so far. They are 6-2, now 7-2, but they are definitely a surprise team that has been pretty consistent and pretty much, beating the people they've went up against. And the Falcons has some ups and downs, But again, Falcons, they have to be consistent as well. We had a great game out of Drake London, a good game out of Michael Penix Jr. There were some moments that I felt like Michael Penix Jr. was just going off the wall, killing it. But then also some moments I'm like, wait, why did you do that? Why did you, intentional grounding and stuff like that? I'm like, God, it's going to kill us. We kept shooting ourselves in the foot. And, but we still came and we still fought back. We scored a good bit of points in the second half. We ended the first half with our first-round draft pick, Jalen Walker, causing a fumble. Our other first-round draft pick, James Pierce Jr., picking it up, almost running it all the way back. But, hey, he got tackled, but then we still scored. So that was great. 14-21 going into halftime. But then we had the opportunity to tie the game 24-24, and our kicker. We've had too many issues with kicker problems, stuff happening to where the game is left in his hands or a kicker's hands, and we fail. So as a Falcon fan, that freaking sucks. But other than my Falcons losing, you also had Kansas City. They had a game against the Buffalo Bills, which wasn't Patrick Mahomes' best game in the world, but hey, it was still a fairly close game to the end and everything. But you got to give it to the Bills. The Bills is showing that, hey, we are a team that's trying to do more than just make the playoffs. We want to be in the playoffs. We also want to go to the championship game. But a team that always is in their way, Kansas City. So, but winning this game was definitely a big game. Kansas City is 5-4 this year, so they haven't had the best start. But hey, we're at the halfway moment. We'll see how the rest of the season go on for Kansas City. Because, a team like that, you really can't count them out when you have Patrick Mahomes, when you have Andy Reid as a coach and stuff like that. They definitely have the ability to bounce back really good. So, but they lost yesterday. But a big win I did see yesterday that I, give a hats off to is Caleb Williams and the Bears. Me as an individual, I saw Caleb Williams coming in, and I saw he had a lot of talent and everything, but I wasn't super sold on him. I saw his first year in Chicago, still wasn't super sold on him. You know what I mean? As far as being a person that can be elite. You know what I mean? Because when quarterbacks come into the league, you compare them to greatness, to elite other quarterbacks. He was decent the first year. He was been pretty decent this year. But the past few games, he's definitely stepped up more. Definitely has gotten more comfortable, it seems like. His head coach, Johnson, he's definitely have been trying to bring out more than the previous coach did out of Caleb Williams. And, hey, he even caught a touchdown yesterday. He caught a touchdown. He threw touchdowns. And I think it was definitely a good game for him, a good win for the team as well. So hats off to the Chicago Bears. Again, you just got to be consistent. Anybody, just be consistent. Another loss, but win for the other team. Another loss for the league and loss for the Washington Commanders is Jalen Daniels goes down with a dislocated elbow. It looked ugly when it happened. I thought, it was a nasty, situation. But I think you have to just close the book on this season. If I am the Washington Commanders, I'm closing the book on this season right here. I am getting Jalen Daniels as much rest as possible. The Washington team in general has a history of rushing quarterbacks back, and we don't want another situation like RG3 happened before where they rushed him back. He got hurt for a longer period of time. Give Jalen Daniels the time he needs to recover. I hate that because this is his second year after a great first year, one of the most, highly appreciated first year for a rookie and everything. We saw this year right here start out not the best for them. Injuries with him, other players, wide receivers and stuff like that. Washington hasn't had the best year. But, hey, you can salvage this year by closing the book on, playing him, letting him rest up. But also just, hey, Marcus Mariota, he's a solid backup. He can get you some wins here or there. Give your fans something to cheer for. Just keep pushing. Don't expect to make the playoffs, but just keep pushing, But in that game, that was against the Seahawks, and to see Sam Darnold play the way he did, I think is huge. He got the Seattle Seahawks, I think 6-2, if I'm not mistaken, 6-2, 7-2 now maybe. He got the Seahawks looking good. Now everybody thought Sam Darnold, of course, was a bust when he was with the New York Jets, and he traveled around. Then he got to the Minnesota Vikings. He got to the Vikings. Everyone thought he looked good, but they thought it was the system. The system he was in Minnesota, he looked good. He looked like a quarterback that was capable, looked like a quarterback who can be a competitive quarterback in the league. But can he continue that outside of Minnesota and with a new system? So far, looks good. 4 touchdowns yesterday for Sam Darnold, looking like a quarterback who is supposed to be there. That's the main thing. You look like you're supposed to be there, and I think Sam Darnold did a great job at that. So hats off to him too as well. And, we're going to move over to another subject as well. We're going to touch up boxing. And as we see, there was a big fight coming up against Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis that was supposed to go down on the 14th. Well, there's some possibility that may get canceled or may get switched out as far as Gervonta, because he's getting sued for some stuff and everything. And as a fan of boxing, I want to say I think more is needed out of Gervonta Davis. This fight right here, I don't think it was a fight that was necessary for Gervonta Davis. I think this fight right here was something that he should have done maybe at the tail end of his career, when he's getting ready to retire or something like that. I don't think that Gervonta, is making the best decisions in his life right now. I hate that, him saying stuff like, I'm not the face of boxing. I'm just the guy who boxes. Boxing is dead and stuff like that. I think it's sad to see that, especially when you see so many potential fights that he can do, whether it's Teofimo Lopez. You got him and Ryan Garcia can do a rematch. You got Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, a lot of fights that can be made and happen, but he chose Jake Paul. So who can be a replacement opponent for Jake Paul? Rumors are saying maybe Terrence Crawford. I don't think he's going to do it. Maybe Ryan Garcia. Oscar De La Hoya already said he's not going to do it, So who can be a good replacement if Tank can't do it? I don't know. Y'all let me know on that right there. But that's today's episode. Thank you for checking out the first episode of Off the Clock, where we touch bases on just a lot of sports and stuff like that. Let me know what y'all think, and let's talk about it.